Our last CIA initiative takes us not to the Middle East and not to a communist nation seen as a threat, but instead to the United States. The CIA conducted several operations in the land of the free, and not the kind where you show up, sign a waiver, and get compensated for your time and travel. People were experimented on without their knowledge or consent, sometimes resulting in death. The most famous of these experiments, detailed by over 20,000 declassified documents, was MKUltra. MKUltra's predecessor, Project Artichoke, began in the early 1950s. The broad goal of the project was perfectly outlined by one memo from 1952 which said, "Can we get control of an individual to the point where he will do our bidding against his will and even against fundamental laws of nature, such as self-preservation?" Researchers tested various drugs on many different agents, including cocaine, heroin, and marijuana, but noticed the best effects with LSD. Agents unknowingly ingested LSD to see how it would affect someone who wasn't expecting the drug, and one man was kept on the hallucinogen for 77 straight days. Along with Artichoke, there were two more programs that briefly saw light, MKNAOMI and MKOFN. All three of these programs tested biological weapons, including viruses, on unsuspecting people, with one researcher's note saying, "Not all viruses have to be lethal. The objective includes those that act as short-term and long-term incapacitating agents." In one of the experiments, specially designed aircraft released hundreds of thousands of mosquitoes over a low-income neighborhood in Avon Park, Florida. The mosquitoes were carrying dengue fever, which was seen as a potential interrogation tool because its symptoms usually aren't lethal. Keyword being usually. Hundreds of people were infected, and at least 6 people died as a result. The CIA was also accused of starting dengue outbreaks in several other US states, Pakistan, Nicaragua, and Cuba.
Mr. James, a minute ago you said that your father was a threat to someone. What did you mean?
Father had secrets.
Secrets?
About the government. Father was poisoned by an experimental weaponized gas in Vietnam. Because of his exposure, they continued to do tests on him and other soldiers like him for many years at Glazebrook.
What kind of tests?
Chemical, biological. They were trying to learn how to control human behavior, harnessing our fears to manipulate us into violence.
Using this weaponized gas?
The gas in the war was still in the experimental stage, and they still haven't perfected it, but after years of testing it and honing it, they are getting close.
To what end?
Imagine the power of a government that could literally control the minds of millions and millions of its citizens. Could influence every choice and decision they've made simply by exposing them to this poison.
You'll have to forgive me, Mr. James, but this sounds like a dystopian novel.
It's happening right now in the United States of America. Do you honestly believe that after 30 years of research and development and decades of experimenting on American heroes like my father, it would just be thrown in the trash, never to be utilized?
Unlikely. The DOD and the CIA have been working on various incarnations of mind control projects since the 50s. Project Bluebird, MKUltra, MK Delta.
Well, those programs were supposedly ended in the early 1980s.
Supposedly.
My father believed he was part of the program MKNAOMI. It was a successor to MKUltra. We don't know how they're using this chemical now, but we know for certain that they are. Maybe they're poisoning our water or the food supply. Maybe they're putting it in those chemtrails behind all those commercial jets that fly over our country every single day.